Hello and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We're here to preview Against All Odds. Now, I'm not 100% sure on a couple of things because it is pretty much the day before or whatnot. So it is very unlikely that anything else will be added, but obviously, we can't cover anything that would be added in the next 24 hours. The only thing that is a question mark is in one of the matches, is a partner. We'll get to that at some point going through this. I'm going to start on the countdown show. So we've got the Elegance brand, all of them, aka Ash by Elegance, Heather by Elegance, and M by Elegance, all teaming together against Zaya Brookside, Maya Grace, and Harley Hudson. Kind of strange in some ways. I feel like there's still something going on here with Zaya and Rosemary and whatnot, even though they just had their Monsters Ball. And I kind of feel like, again, I said this, that they should have probably just had it on the pay-per-view. But I don't know, man. Like, obviously you can do some things here with that and keep sort of the ball rolling or go somewhere else or start to turn her another way or something or whatever else it is. It depends. But yeah, like, I don't really think that this is much of a match or there's much importance here, that much, because the titles aren't on the line. You know, like, I don't even think they were on the line this week on the episode, were they? Or were they? No, they weren't, because it wasn't Ash and what's her name? It wasn't Heather and Ash. Which is really stupid, again, because it is like, well, they are a faction, they should have the free bird rule, and they should all be able to defend the title or whatever. So, you know, that whole thing, that's another thing where I do feel like they should have already worked that out and said, you know, this is for the titles or whatever else it is. Even so, again, but whatever. I liked Myla Grace and Harley Hudson's match there. That was all right of a match that they had against M and Heather by Elegance. Zaya Brookside's match this week, I felt like it should have been like the main event potentially, or at least like closer to being the main event than what it was. I think we got a few promos there that really, you know, like, yeah, they were there or whatever, but like, honestly, like, you should have pushed it to being as close to being the main event. It's weird that I want to say this before we get going too far, that they had Danny Luna do a promo in Canada and not do Jody. I don't know, that's kind of weird. Maybe they have more plans for Danny right now or whatever, I don't know. But yeah. In this one, I don't know, you start to feel like maybe Zaya would cost them the match here. Just in that regard, to keep kind of doing things with her, or, you know, to see if we can take her another way or whatever else, breaking down kind of thing. So, but yeah, then we'll get on to the main card, Mustafa Ali versus Jason Hodge. Now, like, to me, like, I love when people get heat, and I think it's good. You know, like, a lot of the stuff that has been going on is good. It's good heat. But I don't agree with this. I really, like, I don't agree with this. It's like, what are you doing this for? Like, what's going on? Like, are you really gonna have him break away from the faction, or you're gonna have him, like even if you're not going to, like, this is starting to pull him in that direction and starting to try to pull the faction apart. I was like, They haven't been together for that long, really. And it's like, what's going on here, bro? I don't know. But whatever. With all the odds against him, I don't see that Hotch is winning, but I feel like the disintegration of the team or the faction or whatever is gonna continue. So I don't think, like, I don't know whether you could class this as Jason Hotch being babyface. I don't know. Maybe by the end of this he will be, but I don't really see that. There's one more thing after this one, I believe. Oh, there is a small update I will talk about right now before we get going. Obviously, since Trick Williams retained his title, he is facing Elijah, so that is what's happening there. Obviously, that is a thing. First Class Penthouse interview segment is going to happen. It's going to be with Mike Santana. This is really kind of weird, I guess, but this is probably to help set up things for later. As I sort of said, like, you've got to keep these guys kind of fighting and kind of, and the same thing with everyone else. It's kind of like you've got to keep everyone kind of floating around, and Kazarian and Hendry. So I kind of feel like that will, it will, spill over into that somehow, or it will impact that somehow, or something like that, because again, you've got to try to keep, all these guys, doing things and moving towards this main event that you're trying to, or this, multi-man match that you're trying to build towards. All right, last one. This is the one with the question mark. The system, the whole system. Moose, Myers, Edwards, JDC versus Leon and the Hardys, so Matt and Jeff, plus a mystery tag team partner. So, I don't know. I start to wonder who could be the mystery tag partner. And it's got to be somebody from WWE, right? Really? Like, I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't. I honestly don't. I don't know. So, I kind of feel like, I think we talked about this before, where Raj Singh, he came in and it was like, oh, okay, we haven't seen him in a while, and he's probably not sticking around, and he's probably just here for like the taping or whatever else it is, and that's pretty much it, which I think thus far will be correct. So I doubt that it's Raj Singh. So you start thinking about people that are from Phoenix or whatever. So Hammerstone is from Phoenix. But then again, that doesn't make much sense to me. Like, I don't know. Though again, like, a bunch of the WWE releases, actually, I think their contract ends, like, it ended this week, I think it was. And I think that they did say they've got 2, like, either returns or debuts happening at Against All Odds. So this is probably one of them, if not definitely one of them. So I do feel like that starts to nail that down in some way. And I think they said that the returns / debut were multi-time champions. So I don't know. I kind of feel like with the Knockouts title picture, same sort of like issue here. Like, I think I've said it about just about every division almost, I think. It's very hard for me, besides like the world title division, I guess, perhaps. It's very hard for me to see you building something good enough and big enough and whatnot for Slammiversary from where you're at now with who you've kind of got and where they kind of are at. So I kind of feel like, what are you going to do? Why are you going to do something to to build something, unless it's just like a multi-woman match of some sort. Like, I don't really see the same level of, like, layered storytelling kind of thing that would suggest that kind of thing for the knockouts. So I really don't know what you're going to do for Slammiversary for them. I can see what you're doing for Slammiversary with the men, or for the world title picture. I can't really see for the international title. I can't really see something for the tag titles unless it's the Hardys, like Last Dance or something for the titles. Or something similar to that. You could do that. That could be all right. Or maybe a ladder match. I don't know. Knockouts tag titles, like, they're even worse off than the normal title. So again, it feels like, well, let's not even worry about what's happening there. Let's just ignore it and wait till it goes away type thing. I don't know. But yeah, every division feels like it's like, well, how are you going to get somebody to that point of, like, let's build this other person up, or let's build this feud up, or let's build something up, apart from perhaps Ali in the international title division. But then again, it's very much like, well, at this point, push him into being the world title area kind of thing. So I don't know. But yeah, like, I do still think, I missed the X division. The only thing that I really think that is still on the cards is Leon and Moose, but I don't know when that's kind of happening or where that's kind of happening. So again, like, the 2 or 3 people again, or whatever it is, that you're debuting, and Indy's there, but like, even though she won this week, it's like, well, so what kind of thing. She needs a big feud kind of thing to really keep going. But yeah, like, for this, for 1 or 2 people to debut, and I think maybe one of them might be a man, or one of them is a man, obviously, but one of them being a man and one of them maybe being a woman, or we don't know what the other one is, or whatever. But certainly you do need more women in that division, and you need more credible women, and you need more, women to kind of be at that main event level. Like, if you were to bring somebody back to challenge Marsha with another month, maybe 1 month-ish build, it is very piss poor for kind of, one of the biggest events of the year. Like, again. So, I don't know. Again, so it is like that. This stuff with the world title at least has been building for kind of a while. But that's what sells tickets. All these builds, like, that's how you get people in these arenas. And yes, there is some level of hype and whatnot, especially now that, you're getting to, this sort of level of, like, stuff's happening or whatever else is going on. You're finally getting to this point of, here we are, we're going to see what, the card or some of the card is going to be like, not just, oh yeah, TNA's coming to town. Like, that can sell some tickets, and people will be like, oh yeah, Slammiversary is always a big show, a good show, and same thing for Bound for Glory, it's always a big show, good show, all that stuff. So they've always been able to pull something out, but it's always like, obviously, again, like, it is important to have that world title picture clearly, like, this is where we're kind of going, and you kind of figure it out, or you can kind of start at least seeing there's a few potential options, or there's, something going to go on or something going to go down, but you can't just dismay your other divisions. You can't just forget, oh yeah, they're there and we need to, figure out how to move this belt or to get, to here or get to there or wherever it is, in order to tell this story and in order to sell the tickets and in order to do all the things that we need to do and whatnot. So again, that's what I want to see. I want to see, how you're going to get there type thing with everything else, not just the world title division, because that is probably the thing that'll sell people the most. But again, on buying shows or whatever, on buying a ticket or whatever. But again, it does matter obviously who's debuting and where they're kind of at. But with a 1 month build or roughly a 1 month build, it's still like, well, you're not really pulling the trigger, or you're not really pushing enough people to kind of be in the right position to do these sorts of things. And like I said, with the, international title division, it does feel a lot like, well, we're trying too hard. Like, it is really good in some ways, but we're trying too hard to separate people into a separate division when, the world title is right there and we really need more people to be fighting for that world title. And it is tough to build people up to that kind of level. So you do need feuds and whatnot to build them up to that. So again, that is where they're trying to go with some of this stuff. But again, it's like, well, that stepping stone type thing, or whatever. But that's sometimes also the problem. It just feels like a stepping stone kind of thing. It's not really a prestigious. That's why a title doesn't really fit in there. It doesn't really work because it's literally a stepping stone, and that's why like mid card titles don't really feel or don't really have as much going for them, because it's. And I know some people say the X Division is a stepping stone title or whatever. In many ways it can be, but like it is its own kind of division in and of itself. Like the tag teams are a division into themselves. The knockouts obviously a division into themselves. So, but yeah, guys. I am hopeful in many ways. But like, the problems aren't just within the wrestlers and the guys booking the shows. The problems are obviously, like, again, and perhaps that will come to fruition soon, hopefully, where, they finally get a streaming deal, or they finally get a proper, expansion deal for their TV network, or they finally get a proper TV deal or whatever else it is. And it's funny that it's 21 years now since TNA debuted, or TNA Impact debuted on Fox Sports. So, we've got a long history for our TV network. The third longest in history, I believe. So only Raw, SmackDown are ahead of it. And that's it. So besides like, TV news or whatever else. Like, so, but yeah. It is insane in some ways. But yeah, guys. I am looking forward to it in some ways. Obviously, we'll be back this Saturday with a review of the show. And then we'll be looking ahead to Slammiversary as it is coming up next. So, yeah, we'll be previewing that along the way. I do hope that they do set, the world title picture, like what's happening with the world title, in stone so that it can be advertised, because that's like usually the most important. As I said it before, like it is really important. You cannot understate how important it is for people to know what they're going to see, or at least have an inkling of what they're going to see, for people to be interested in, buying it en masse. And it has to be, and it's one of those things, again, I do think that it happened at the Canada show, there, Under Siege, that people came to the arena expecting there to be tickets still available, and there weren't any tickets available because it had already, or maybe there were a couple, but it had already basically sold out. I don't know how. I don't think that this. I don't know. I think we're actually just about sold out here at Against All Odds as well. I think there were like a couple of tickets left, so it will be sold out definitely here for Against All Odds. I don't know how many people that is, about 3K, 4K, between 3 and 4K. That's what they've been averaging of late, so that's where I'm going to, most of these arenas are about, or whatever, about the same size, so I'm going to assume that, that's roughly where we're at. Obviously, Slammiversary is way bigger, but they're only, open, half the arena, or basically half the arena, so, or not even that, really, but yeah, they've only really opened, almost 2/3 of the arena or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, it is still they would have a lot of tickets if they really opened it up, but the demand needs to be there, so we need to we need to show people what they're buying into, and it needs to be one of the next shows, or at least the next major show, for people to really start thinking about buying it, because again, you can only start saying, oh, well, where are we at and where are we going and what are we doing when it's the directly next thing and whatnot. And again, some people will wait till the day of or whatever to rock up, or, people just happen to be in town or whatever it is, and they go, oh, what's on and what's around and what's happening. Oh, TNA's here. Oh, okay, well, I'll rock up there and see if I can get some tickets. That's what people do. And you can get scalp tickets sometimes as well, but still, it's somewhat unlikely. But yeah, anyway, guys, I do hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys will enjoy Against All Odds. And of course, we'll be back for the review, so I hope you will join us again in that one or in another one.